That scream you hear is mine, echoing across the desolate plains of my soul, because this isn't me. Take me back to the war zoo, the primal chaos. Everything up here is too polished, too new. I can't stand it. I just must land it. Going back to everything you do, people got their eyes on you like hungry wolves. It's compelling, yeah. A siren's call I can't resist. Have you ever witnessed how certain individuals can subtly command the atmosphere around them without uttering a single word? No shouting, no pleading. They simply, almost imperceptibly, withdraw, and suddenly the entire dynamic shifts. Standing there at the station gate, utterly brokenhearted, I felt it, the energy in the room ripple and change, heads turning, people wondering, unconsciously following the invisible thread of my despair. Now, envision yourself wielding that same power. Imagine relinquishing the need for instant reactions, choosing instead the potent force of silence over a hasty reply, opting for strategic retreat rather than explosive anger. What then? That, my friend, is the crux of it all. Yelling? Take me back to the old you, the untamed beast within. If you don't like beans and rice, get your own rice. And when you cease making yourself perpetually available, emotionally, physically, mentally, you disrupt the carefully constructed order of the world around you. People have grown accustomed to manipulating you through your predictable reactions, your innate need to please, but the moment you quietly slip away, the rules of the game are irrevocably altered. Those who believed they held you captive discover they knew nothing of your true depths. Carl Jung once wrote of how everything that irritates us about others can lead us to a better understanding of ourselves. A bitter pill, but essential. When you become less readily accessible, pay close attention to what that reveals about them, far more than about you. It illuminates the extent to which you have been giving unknowingly, unappreciated. You say yes to avoid conflict, to maintain proximity to people who, in their heart of hearts, may never have truly cared for you. Not really. With each coerced agreement, each knee-jerk response, each unrestrained emotional outburst, you surrender a sliver of your vital essence. And so, at day's end, you are left depleted, agitated, hollow, because you have been too readily available to those who didn't deserve a moment of your precious silence. This isn't about severing all ties, about becoming a recluse. It's about prioritizing yourself first and foremost, about staking your claim. Jung employed the term individuation to describe the profound process of becoming whole, authentic, complete. This transformative journey begins with the realization that silence can be a more formidable weapon than 1,000 impassioned arguments, that strategic withdrawal, executed with conscious intention, not fueled by fear, can be a genuine display of power. Ask yourself, how much longer will you allow the volatile emotions of others to dictate your every move? How much longer will you dance like a puppet each time someone pokes at your carefully concealed wounds? Perhaps it is time to sever those strings, to retreat into the shadows, to cultivate an air of alluring mystery. When you cease being perpetually present, everything changes. A child can grasp this too. Do you truly see your child when you gaze upon him? Look at David, age 9, how resolutely straight he stands, a tiny soldier against the world. From a tender age, we are indoctrinated to respond instantaneously, to devour every message the moment it arrives, to offer unwavering affirmation, even when our hearts scream, no. We are conditioned to believe that our worth is intrinsically linked to our perpetual availability. But here is a truth they rarely whisper. Being too available is not a virtue. It is a gilded cage. So long as you cling to the belief that you must be perpetually within reach, emotionally, physically, or otherwise, others will relentlessly exploit you, discarding you the instant you cease to be useful. Why? Because if you are always there, you become predictable, a well-worn path, and predictable things are easily used, discarded, and forgotten. People perceive you as a convenient button they can press to elicit attention, comfort, then promptly ignore once their needs are satiated. You may remain blissfully unaware of this insidious dynamic, clinging to the hope that by being unfailingly present for everyone else, someone, someday, will reciprocate in kind. But that, my friend, is not how the world operates. It's a cruel lie. Carl Jung spoke of the persona, the elaborate social mask we don to gain acceptance, to elicit love. This mask can compel us to be excessively available, betraying our authentic selves. You utter "I'm fine" when you're crumbling inside. You respond to messages when you're teetering on the brink of exhaustion. You defend, justify, explain yourself as if you owe the world an unending apology. The more you fixate on other people's dramas, the more you fade from your own life, becoming a ghost in your own story. This constant accessibility is a subtle, insidious form of self-betrayal, a desperate attempt to evade rejection, to sculpt the perception others hold of you. But this desperate control comes at the devastating cost of your inner peace. You squander your energy as if it were an inexhaustible resource. But it is not. The individuals who incessantly demand your constant availability don't truly crave you, they crave what you provide. Attention, companionship, solace. Then, the moment you establish a boundary, cease reacting, those same individuals may become enraged, labeling you distant, strange. The truth is, you are simply no longer conforming to their pre-scripted expectations. Here's a bitter truth. The more accessible you are, the less value you seem to possess. When something is too easily obtained, it loses its allure. Its perceived worth diminishes. So, contemplate deeply who truly merits your time, your attention, your very presence. Or, better yet, contemplate who actually deserves your absence. Before you answer that, consider why we tend to capitulate so readily, why we react so impulsively. What compels us to continuously utter yes, to offer instant responses? Carl Jung spoke of psychic energy, which is where we turn next. Your energy, your psychic force, is all you possess, and if you fail to safeguard it, others will ruthlessly exploit it for their own selfish ends. Jung didn't perceive the mind as a mere automaton, reacting mindlessly to stimuli without consequence. He viewed it as a complex energy system. Each thought, each emotion, each action consumes a fragment of that system. The burning question is, are you consciously choosing where your precious energy is directed, or is everyone else making that decision for you? Every time you react reflexively, rushing to defend yourself from a petty slight, engaging in pointless arguments merely to win, or striving to appease those who fail to value you, you dissipate your energy on endeavors that contribute nothing to your growth, your evolution. Jung once observed that the more you fight something, the more formidable it becomes in your life, a parasitic leech draining your life force. If you are perpetually drained, you are not inherently weak. You are simply misdirecting your energy, squandering it on unworthy causes. And when you exist in a state of perpetual exhaustion, you become an easy target, ripe for exploitation. Manipulative individuals instinctively sense when you cannot safeguard your energy, when you are perpetually compelled to fix every problem, so they exploit that vulnerability, twisting your innate goodness to their own advantage. A healthy mind, Jung taught, conserves energy within itself. It possesses the wisdom to utter no without the burden of guilt, to maintain silence without the sting of shame, to observe carefully before committing to action. True power emanates from the ability to consciously choose how and when to act. And this is only attainable if you possess sufficient self-awareness to recognize your own triggers, your own vulnerabilities. Ask yourself, how many nights have you sacrificed sleep, replaying conversations that never reached resolution? How many hours have you squandered, endlessly replaying what you should have said, or agonizing over why someone treated you with such callous disregard? That is your energy seeping away, vanishing like smoke. You are clinging to situations that should have been laid to rest long ago, perpetuating their existence by feeding them your attention, your emotional investment. Psychic energy is akin to a protective shield. If you manage it with prudence, you radiate a tangible presence, a force that commands respect. But if you squander it, you become invisible, vulnerable, unprotected, and the world is notoriously unkind to those who lack boundaries. So, commence noticing what triggers you, what compels you to react without conscious thought. These are the gaping holes through which your precious energy escapes. Focus on sealing those leaks, not with cold indifference, but with mindful awareness. Discern what warrants your attention and what does not. Now we delve into a darker truth. Many of our emotional reactions are pre-programmed, deeply ingrained responses, and those who are privy to this can expertly manipulate us, twisting our emotions to their own advantage. They needn't resort to threats or raised voices. They merely need to press certain buttons that we ourselves have carelessly left exposed. Jung termed this projection. People often perceive qualities in others that they vehemently refuse to acknowledge within themselves, but it extends far deeper than that. The more open, the more available you are, the easier it becomes for others to paint you in their own distorted image, to project their needs onto you. Consider the friend who only contacts you during moments of crisis, the partner who expects you to perpetually save the day, or the individual who showers you with praise only when you are serving their immediate needs. They are not truly engaging with you. They are interacting with a distorted idea of you, a role you have unconsciously, perhaps unwillingly, agreed to play. Why did you agree? Because you harbor a deep-seated fear of disappointing others, a fear of losing their affection, a fear of not being loved, a fear of not being enough. The most potent forms of manipulation are often silent, operating through insidious guilt, subtly implying that you owe something. You feel compelled to assist, even when it gnaws at your very soul, slowly destroying you from the inside out. But here's the critical point. The manipulator doesn't need to exert absolute control over you. They merely need you to continue reacting in the same predictable manner. When you disrupt that pattern, when you cease reacting, the manipulation unravels. When you respond with deafening silence, or simply walk away instead of offering yet another elaborate explanation, the carefully constructed image they held of you shatters into a million fragmented pieces. They become uneasy, disoriented, because they can no longer predict your actions, and they may be forced to confront their own hidden flaws, their own buried insecurities. Not everyone is equipped for such a confrontation. People grow anxious, unsettled, when you are not perpetually within reach. Your silence becomes a mirror, reflecting back their own inner emptiness. Many cannot withstand such a stark reflection. So they may resort to criticism, to stirring up drama, not because you are doing anything wrong, but because you have ceased to feed their manipulative patterns, to validate their distorted perception of reality. Jung once said, "We do not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." When you withdraw from those old destructive cycles, you compel others to confront their own psychological shadows. This is profoundly painful for them because they have always relied on you as a convenient escape hatch, a refuge from their own demons. But are you prepared for the inevitable backlash? Are you prepared to be misunderstood, ostracized, perhaps even attacked for the audacity of protecting your own inner peace? Because once you relinquish those old ways, a profound silence descends. And within that silence, a new kind of strength can take root, blossoming into resilience, into unwavering self-possession. Let's discuss silence as the ultimate weapon, the ultimate act of defiance in a world obsessed with noise. Our world clamors for attention, everyone vying to speak, to respond instantaneously, to vehemently assert their rightness, even at the expense of inner peace. But there exists an overlooked power, a potent force that is often underestimated, the power of silence. Not the silence born of fear or timidity, but a deliberate, thoughtful silence, brimming with purpose, with intent. Jung perceived silence as fertile ground for profound transformation. When you cease speaking, you begin observing, and you begin to discern those old destructive patterns, those toxic games, those insidious ways you inadvertently inflict harm upon yourself. Silence breeds clarity, and clarity can be exceedingly dangerous to those who rely on your confusion to maintain their control. Have you observed how some individuals become utterly unhinged if you fail to respond instantaneously? It's not necessarily because they miss you, but because your silence disrupts their carefully constructed narrative, strips them of their control over the unfolding story. When you engage in conversation, you are still playing by their rules, trapped within their game. When you remain silent, you are rewriting the very rules of the game. This profoundly disturbs those who depend on your constant affirmation, your predictable responses. True silence is not about capitulation, about surrendering. It's about safeguarding your precious energy, refusing to be drawn into battles that are not worth the cost, those pointless skirmishes that drain your life force. Jung asserted that becoming your authentic self necessitates stepping away from the cacophony of the world, silencing the external noise so that you can finally discern the whispers of your own inner voice, that quiet wisdom that resides within. But silence comes at a cost. It can alienate individuals who valued you solely for your ability to fulfill their needs. It can make you appear distant to those who never truly saw you in the first place. They may perceive you as too different, too changed. Now, this occurs not because you are at fault, but because you are no longer the readily available resource they once so effortlessly exploited. The truth is, the more you evolve, the more discerning you become with your words, recognizing that each sentence is an investment of your precious energy, and not everyone deserves that investment. Sometimes silence is not surrender. It is a testament to unwavering self-possession. You have no need to justify yourself, to prove anything to anyone. Your very quietness speaks volumes, and if it troubles them, that speaks volumes about their reliance on noise, on constant external validation, to evade confronting their own inner selves. Even if you intellectually comprehend all of this, it will remain inconsequential if you continue to engage in the same detrimental behaviors. Uttering yes out of sheer habit, reflexively responding to messages that incite emotional turmoil, clinging to empty, unfulfilling relationships. Knowing the truth without acting upon it is merely another insidious form of self-deception, a hollow charade that perpetuates the cycle of suffering. Real transformation occurs when you consciously decide to become more selective with your time, with your energy, with your very presence. Being consciously unavailable does not equate to being cold, indifferent, unfeeling. It simply means that you are no longer perpetually at everyone else's beck and call. You commence by making small, incremental shifts. Resist the urge to respond instantaneously. Pause, inhale deeply before reacting. Gracefully extricate yourself from tense discussions before they ensnare you. Switch off your phone and master the art of uttering, "No, not today. I'm not interested." Most importantly, remember that you owe no one an explanation for your silence, for your absence. You owe that to no one but yourself. Yes, those who have grown dependent on your unwavering presence may feel betrayed, abandoned. They may claim that you have changed, and they are correct. You are now fiercely protecting your energy, guarding your inner sanctum. Jung recognized that individuation often entails periods of solitude, but not in a sorrowful, desolate manner. It is a sacred respite from the unrelenting chaos, a dedicated time to reconnect with your own inner voice, to rediscover your authentic self. Observe those who vanish from your life, or those who relentlessly poke at you when you become more guarded, more discerning. Observe those who claim you have changed the moment you finally choose yourself. None of these signs signifies that you are straying from the correct path. They signify that you are liberating yourself from the insidious traps that once held you captive. The most potent form of silence is that which rebuilds you from within, brick by agonizing brick. It reconnects you to a deeper, more profound sense of self, liberated from the world's relentless demands. Only within that sacred inner space can you replenish your energy, reclaim your sovereignty, and remember who you truly are, the essence that has been obscured beneath layers of expectations and obligations. You may experience moments of loneliness, pangs of guilt at first, but this is the dawn of a new existence, one where you no longer settle for emotional leftovers, for hollow, unfulfilling connections. When you cease allowing others to exploit you, you may witness them vanishing from your life or revealing their true, often unsettling nature. And in that ensuing emptiness, a profound calm descends. Where anxiety once reigned supreme, peace finds a home. Where neediness once festered, a stronger, more resilient self blossoms. This is the transformative rebirth Jung alluded to, awakening to your authentic self, no longer defined by the fleeting opinions of others, shedding the shackles of expectation and soaring into the freedom of self-acceptance. Yes, some will inevitably label you selfish, distant, unfeeling. Let them. A little loneliness is the price of true freedom, the quiet solitude where the soul can breathe, where the spirit can soar. Within that sacred space, you are no longer compelled to fix yourself in order to retain others in your life. You release them with love and compassion if they are not truly there for you. And that is when a new current of energy surges through you, liberating you from the mercy of anyone's manipulative demands. This, then, is the profound paradox of becoming your authentic self. You may be misunderstood, even vilified by some, but you will be genuinely respected, perhaps not by everyone, but by those whose opinions truly matter. Because when you cease being readily available to just anyone, you become rare, precious, a treasure to be cherished. And that is how you reclaim your destiny, transforming yourself one silent step at a time into an irresistible force of nature. The world will never be ready for you, because you're finally ready for yourself.